2025 was yet another great year for video games and the indie game industry. Many of our favorite games got sequels, and I was personally able to enjoy many games I've been dying to play for the longest time. Because I just came out fresh from making my best games of 2024 video, I played all of these games with a ranked video in mind, which I think is pretty important to note because it actively changed the way I viewed these games as I played them, comparing them to each other as I played through each title. So, let's begin. The best games I played in 2025. And of course, first, the runner-ups. Bogeko Castle was a really interesting game to play. It's a classic RPG Maker experience. A girl lost in a castle meeting strange figures as she finds her way out, all the while a gruesome foe chases her down. I was pretty shocked to discover this game in the rest of the Okacom series. I consider myself quite knowledgeable in the RPG Maker community, so I have no idea how I didn't know about Bogeko Castle in the past, especially with it being a pretty popular series. This was the year I finally locked in and finished The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I did originally purchase the game on release thanks to my friend's store discount, and looking back, I surprisingly played quite a bit. But during this time, I was just wandering and playing around without really doing anything significant. So this year, I finally decided to go through and finish the game, and well, it was pretty cool. I don't really have anything specific to say, but it's definitely one of the most beautiful and elegant The Legend of Zelda games. Mouthwashing was another pretty cool game I finally took the time to play this year. It was a really cool horror game to experience in the medium of video games. If you're looking for a short indie horror game to play, I think Mouthwashing is a pretty good recommendation. Another game I never actually finished and only got halfway through was Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. After two of my roommates began playing the game and got super into it, I decided to finally continue my past playthrough, and I had a lot of fun. As someone who never enjoyed open world Dark Souls games such as Elden Ring, I really enjoyed Sekiro's more linear gameplay both in world and in combat. One more game that's been sitting in my backlog that I finally played and finished. Metroid Dread is a really fun Metroidvania, where even though most of the areas look similar in appearance, the game is so short and the combat is so fast that time just flies by. All I can really say about this game is that you really feel like a badass playing as Samus. Last year, I became obsessed with AI The Somnium Files. I was absolutely enamored with the first game and greatly enjoyed the second game. The story of that game, it sucked. The story was really bad. It was bad. And to apparently reward my new interest in the series, Spike Chunsoft decided to surprise me with a third game in the series in a random Nintendo Direct. I was super excited to play No Sleep for Konami Date from the AI The Somnium Files, but I refused to pay the full price tag on release, and after waiting a while, it was gifted to me as a Christmas present. Thank you so much. Diving straight into it, I immediately began having a good time. I've never played Kotaro Uchihoshi's past games such as Zero Escape before, so the escape room gameplay was quite new to me, but I do think it fit the style and the gameplay of AI The Somnium Files very well. The story was significantly shorter than the numbered games, but that was to be expected as this was more of a side game or a spin-off game. And even though it was shorter, the story was at least better than Nirvana Initiative, but sadly nothing will be able to reach the peaks of the first game. The extra content was pretty fun too, just playing through these bite-sized, classic visual novel-styled stories just to give our characters a little bit more depth. I wish we got some more Somnium segments because those are honestly the best parts of these games, but I'm not going to complain. A few new ones is better than none.
Another baddies with victory!
Okay, so, yeah. Marvel Rivals made it to 9th place on my list. I really started enjoying it this year, okay? I never really played that much during its beta release, and I only somewhat got into the game when Invisible Woman was introduced, but it didn't really click with me that much, and I lost interest in it pretty quick. It wasn't until around April, when my first year of school just ended, me and my friends were bored with nothing to do, and Season 2 just began starring Emma Frost as this new character. For some reason, we all just fell for this game, even me. We started playing it every day, and even with my job at the time, I would hop on with my friends as soon as I got home. We all immediately started enjoying hunting for achievements in this game, and each of us quickly clocked in over 100 hours in less than a month. We don't play much anymore, and we never had enough time or motivation to get into competitive, but we still make sure to check out the game pretty often. I've just had so much fun playing this game during the time that I did, and with the amount of money I put into it, I can't afford to put it any lower. Before Your Eyes was a nice surprise I got from my friend. He kinda got it from me out of nowhere, but it's been a game I've known about for a while, and a game I've been wanting to play, so I was very thankful. I think he got the game for himself as well, but has yet to play it. Go play it, Anthony.
right before we pause the video right now, go play it.
Well, on its cover, it seems like the main draw of the game is its mechanic of progressing through the story by blinking. I would honestly say that I forgot about that mechanic every time I reminisce about the game. The blinking mechanic is really unique and cool. You experience the story from the point of view of the main character. You watch everything around your environment change, and every time you blink, you progress forward in time to the next point in the story. But the story itself left the greatest impression on me. Without spoiling much, it's a story that spans lives, where you quite literally peer into the complex story of familial relationships and love. It's bound to bring you tears, forcing you to try even harder to keep your eyelids open. It's a beautiful experience, and one that'll touch any heart. Some of you guys are gonna kill me for this placement. As I'm writing the script, I'm actually still in the middle of finishing Hollow Knight Silksong. I'm currently going through the last act of the game, and I'm blowing off some steam after dying a couple times to a guy high up in the mountain, as well as trying to cool my frustrations from my attempt to climb a high tower. But I started playing this game day one. Why am I only finishing up the game now after so long? Well, I just don't love this game. I'm honestly having a hard time really wanting to play outside of random urges to hop on for an hour or two. I loved Hollow Knight. It was my favorite game ever for the longest time. I've beaten Pantheon 5. I got all achievements. So why? Why has Silksong just not clicked with me? Well, I think I'm just so biased to Hollow Knight that I keep comparing it to Silksong, and therefore I don't want to play it. I don't like the areas in Silksong compared to Hollow Knight. I don't like the bosses compared to Hollow Knight. I don't like the charm system compared to Hollow Knight. I don't like the abilities compared to Hollow Knight. The only thing I'll admit is a step up is the significantly more advanced movement in Silksong, but that doesn't mean much when I still loved the charming movement in the first game. I believe this is my real dilemma, why Silksong makes it into my top 10 but is only 7th place. I know Silksong is good, I want to like it, but because I love Hollow Knight so much, I can't help but compare them in every aspect, and I end up not being satisfied with Silksong in the end. It's a fun game. It's definitely a lot harder than Hollow Knight in every area. The story's kind of cool too, but for me, it just won't ever live up to the original when I just keep comparing the two games. And that's the sad position I'm in. Yet another long-awaited sequel to one of the most influential indie games. This year, Deltarune Chapter 3 plus 4 finally came out. Deltarune Chapter 1 always felt like a demo, well, because that's what it was. And Chapter 2 was kind of a spur-of-the-moment release to satisfy fans, and while quite good, it just never felt like enough. With the release of 3 and 4 coming out together, along with the official paid release of Deltarune, I finally felt like I was playing a proper game. Of course, it still wasn't the full game, we're still waiting for 3 more chapters, but Deltarune finally felt like a proper, polished video game, something actually worth spending money on. While I'm aware it's probably the least popular chapter, my favorite so far is probably Chapter 3. I think Tenna, TV World, the jokes, and also all the secrets perfectly embody what we love about Deltarune. A story spread across different chapters, each chapter different from the rest, but the secrets within connect each of them together in unimaginable ways. Chapter 4 was, well, probably the best Deltarune has to offer so far. Pretty much everything was beautiful, and I can't really say anything specific or rational. It was just beautiful. I was that cringe Undertale kid you knew in middle school, so continuing Deltarune as an adult, a game I started when I was so young, just felt so refreshing in the stress of adulthood. I'm greatly looking forward to where it goes next. I have an interesting relationship with this game. This game was actually 3rd place in the ranking for a while, but as I continued to play through it recently, I decided to put a few pegs down, which we'll get to soon. The 100 Lion Last Defense Academy is Kodaka's newest game and the first big game in his new studio, 2Kyo Games, for which a larger part of the team is made up of past Danganronpa developers. It's a very long visual novel with moments of combat, with the combat system in this game taking the form of tactical RPG fights on the grid. The main appeal, though, is the multiple choices, the choose-your-own story way the game's narrative plays out. These choices often widely change the storyline, resulting in multiple different routes that greatly differ from one another. While no route is the official true route, Through each route, you'll learn new bits of info and slowly you'll be able to put together the bigger picture. This might be the first video game I've played where the choices you make actually drastically change the story. It's not just a good or bad ethical system, it's not just one or two characters possibly dying in the end. Through the choices you make in this game, you might follow the storyline of a cult. The story may become a murder mystery, or even a route where you go on dates with multiple girls. The multiple different routes are so ridiculous and drastically different from that they really embody the charm of Kodaka's direction and unique style very well. But this is also somehow my biggest complaint, the reason why this game ended up being lower than it was before. Firstly, with so many different routes and storylines that are so drastically different from one another, no story truly gets any time to properly develop or shine. The ideas of some storylines are so cool and interesting, but because of this game's large scope, it ends up being quite short and simple, leaving us with only a fraction of a possible, well-developed story. On top of this, the game begins to feel very repetitive. 99% of the game takes place in the same location with the same characters. On top of this, most of the drama, secrets, and reveals are often repeated in most of the routes, and just gets in the way of seeing the more unique properties of the route that we want to see. TLDR, while each route is drastically different from each other in terms of plot, the settings, characters, important events, and motifs are always the same, and cause the latter portion of your playthrough to feel quite repetitive. On top of this game isn't shy of some pretty bad routes too, and so they become quite miserable to play through. Overall, the 100 Lion Last Defense Academy is an incredible, unique game worth playing, but don't feel forced to play through every route to discover the results of every decision. They'll get quite repetitive, and it might sour your overall experience with the game as it did for me. Moe. Looking for a hero? Well, you'll find none here. No More Heroes is a trilogy of games that I had an absolute blast playing across the latter end of this year. Beginning with No More Heroes, I had a great time plowing through enemies, odd jobs, and fighting eccentric assassins in this quest to become the greatest assassin, as well as getting a chance with the French lady. No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle was a bit of a weird one. It was completely focused on the bosses, and there wasn't really much content outside of that. While going through the rankings of the bosses in the first game was the main focus, the surrounding content in the levels, collectibles, jobs, and overworld were what truly made the game shine. That's why it was quite nice to come back to this gameplay formula in No More Heroes 3, but something still felt a little odd in this one. I had an absolute blast fighting the strange alien bosses in this game and going back to the overworld similar to the first game in the series, but it just didn't feel right. It might just be because it's so modern and missing the 2007 Wii charm of the first game. It could also be because the aliens, while cool, aren't as badass as the assassins in the first and second games. I know I'm complaining a lot right now, but I truly believe counting the faults of the sequel games and comparing them to the first really demonstrates how special the original No More Heroes was, and how no sequel or any other game could be like it. I loved No More Heroes. It's just such a good time. And now, may I introduce to you Off by Mortis Coast, a French language surrealism game made in RPG Maker 2003. Being such an old and popular game, Off had a great influence on the identity of RPG Maker games as a genre, influencing many popular games such as Omori and Undertale, as only a few examples. Before, it was only available through unofficial translations and links, but this year the game finally got not only an official English translation, but a full-on remake with a new combat system, a new OST led by Toby Fox, new bosses, and a proper Steam and console release. It was a lot, and I was very excited since the day of its announcement. I played the unofficial translation a few years back, and it left a great impression on me. I was excited to return, and my excitement wasn't let down. I had a great time exploring the surrealist world and exploring the psyche of the society and the characters. The combat in the original was quite horrid. It was honestly the worst part of the game. So the new revamped combat was very welcome. But on the other hand, while the new OST is terrific, that old battle theme, Pepper Steak, could never be replaced. And the original might honestly still be my favorite battle theme in any video game ever. Man, Stellar Blade was just awesome, man. Since its original PlayStation exclusive release, I've desperately wanted to play this game. High speed but difficult combat, a beautiful semi-open world, clear inspiration from Nier Automata in entertaining parrying similar to Sekiro, collectible costumes, collectible soda cans, just tons and tons of collectibles. That's why I was really excited when its Steam port finally came out a year later. The price tag was quite hefty, but after waiting a while and saving up enough money, I eventually ended up purchasing the deluxe edition for myself as a birthday present. And well, I don't regret it one bit. I was quite obsessed with this game and taken aback by everything about it. As I mentioned before, this game practically has everything I could ever want from a video game. So there wasn't really any point in playing anything else at the time. Just a little side note, this was the first game I played with adaptive triggers. I've been playing PC games with a PS5 controller for a while now, but no game ever took advantage of it. That's why I was genuinely jump scared when I used the gun in the game for the first time and finally got a sense of what adaptive triggers feel like. Anyways, getting back to the core of this game, the combat is just wonderful. I like difficult combat, but I also like fast combat. That's why combat in most Souls-likes never worked with me. They were often too slow. I really enjoyed Stellar Blade's approach to more strategic and difficult combat, while making it quick. I truly felt like an anime character of sorts. The story, while not the craziest, was still nice to follow, and I enjoyed exploring the game. The collectibles though. Oh, the collectibles. As an achievement hunter, I've come across some achievements that ask you to find all the collectibles in the game. Many of these are tedious, but Stellar Blade managed to be an outlier. Each collectible has a puzzle or a unique area or method to obtain this object, rather than just throwing it everywhere and anywhere. The inclusion of the collectibles was done with care, and it made getting all the achievements in this game an amazing experience, worth the many hours.
Before we moved on to the next portion of the game, I also just want to mention, it's just the music in this game is so good, and I'm just trying to like fit in like at least a good variety of tracks into this like part of the video, because normally I only put like one song, but the music in this game is just so good. I'm trying to like milk it and just cram as much as I can into this video, just because the music in this game is so good. It's so good. Okay, moving on.
There is one last thing that needs to be said though. AI generation. Now, I don't think Stellar Blade itself has any AI generation, or at least I haven't heard anything about it, but the problem is Shift Up, the studio that made Stellar Blade. The founder, Kim Hyung-tae, has recently been pretty vocal about using AI generated works for their future games, and we've already begun to see it in games such as Goddess of Victory Nikke. In addition to that, Kim Hyung-tae has been called out for and has very obviously been using AI generated content in some celebration posts. For example, one depicting Asuka surrounded by mealheads to celebrate Yoko Taro, the creator of Nier Automata, working on a new Evangelion anime. The most recent Stellar Blade post to celebrate its second year anniversary is also very obviously AI generated. I mean, that's not even Eve's face! It just makes me scared. I love video games, it's my favorite art form, but when you use AI generation, it takes a step back from being art and instead becomes a product produced by a brainless machine. Obviously, there are real people behind some aspects, probably most aspects of the creation, but when the face of your game, the literal visuals you're looking at, are even made by real people, what's the point? It's just not a human experience anymore. I love Stellar Blade, and I genuinely think it has the potential to be one of the best representations of this art form, but I'm afraid of where this series will go next, and if they'll end up muddying it because they no longer actually care about creating art, but rather chipping out to make some money.
Where am I? Oh my god. What's going on? You should be here. We're still editing the video. What are you doing here? Get out!
I played so many amazing games in the big 2025, but none of them left the strongest impression on me as Misai did. I actually just replayed the whole game again as I started writing about this #1 placement, and I feel like even talking about any aspect of Misai is a spoiler, so I'll put a minor spoiler warning here. And if you have any interest in playing this game at all, please go play this game now, and of course come back and give me some watch time. The game should only be about 4 hours long. Misai was one of the first games I actually played in 2025, and the whole time it never fell from its throne in first place. When I originally bought Miside, I thought it would just be something similar to Doki Doki Literature Club, an anime dating simulator game whose fourth wall is broken by a yandere antagonist, but I couldn't have been more wrong. The twist of Doki Doki is that it breaks the fourth wall, but instead, in Miside, the fourth wall break is the plot of the game and the basis. The story goes like this. We, the player, are pulled into the game by the main antagonist, Mita, and we need to escape the game with the help of past versions of Mita as we traverse through different builds of the game. The different versions aspect of this game is what makes this game work so well. It's an adventure game I would actually consider similar to the likes of Bioshock. In both, we need to escape from an intricate setting, where each chapter takes place in a different section of this setting, surrounding a certain character that we need to help in exchange for them helping us escape. In Bioshock, it's Rapture, in many locations that serve the purpose of keeping an underwater city functioning, and in these locations we meet famous scientists and businessmen who need our help. In Miside is the concept of the game itself. The different locations are different game builds of the same house, and in these different builds are different versions of Mita, with varying personalities and goals, who help us escape. I've always been a massive Bioshock fan, so I was plenty surprised when I realized Miside would play it similarly, and was instantly hooked. While we're on the topic of the setting, may I just point out how atmospheric it is? The iconic house in which most of the game takes place is so calming, peaceful, and has a sense of safety, a feeling of safety that's perverted during the horror segments, and only elevating the fear further. It's also so entertaining to see the differences between the multiple builds of the same setting. Between the different versions, you'll find yourself traversing through liminal spaces. These liminal spaces are astonishingly beautiful as well, and I just might find myself wanting to get lost in them. Of course, there's also fear of what those liminal zones hold. In these liminal spaces and throughout the game, you'll be listening to an amazing soundtrack. I generally don't know how to describe it, but it carries the tone of the rest of the game very well, and it truly immerses you in its world. Every aspect of this game is honestly just such high quality and shows how hard work and drive to create a high quality art does in fact create a high quality product. I don't even know what to talk about next. There's just so much I want to praise. Maybe the lore. The lore is so cool. You wouldn't expect much from this 4-hour game, but it introduces really cool but simple concepts with settings and characters. I think I keep saying this word a lot, setting, but it's honestly just what helps make this game work so well. A digital video game world that we, the player, traverse through, being hunted down through different builds and versions of the game. The game often calls upon itself, and it's a buggy and glitchy video game that requires many versions, and uses the setting to naturally implement really cool transitions where objects and characters will move around when you turn your back on them. Oh, while we're talking about how this game interacts with the player, the subtitles in Miside are really cool too. The subtitles will generate in thin air around the character and naturally follow after they finish their line. They even somehow managed to make this mechanic work for the protagonist. Just another aspect of this game that's truly so creative, fits the world of the game really well, and truly innovates the medium. I truly adore this game so much, and I'm just trying to talk about it as much as I can without just rambling, but I'm just so worried that I'll miss the aspect of this incredible game I want to talk about. There's just so much. Maybe you think this is just some weird dating sim, or simply a game with just a cute anime girl, but this game is truly such an amazing work of art that makes me so happy and so glad to be a fan of video games.
And there we go, my top 10 video games of 2025. I truly wish I could have finished this video in the winter, but I was so busy with school that I never felt like I had the appropriate time to work on this video to truly make a high quality product up to my expectations. I'm finishing writing the script in late April, and here I am finally finishing up in early August. This has just been a pretty busy year for Mr. Spamasi over here. Honestly, letting me know what you liked and what you disliked would help me a lot. I'm truly trying to grow with my editing skills as well as my presentation skills, so any thoughts would help a lot. Getting back to the actual topic of the video, though, I hope this video will help many of you find your new favorite game. I'm looking forward to what 2026 has in store for me, and so far, the few new releases I've been playing have been a lot of fun, and I've finally begun stepping into some long-running classic series as well. Well, see you in a couple months. Hopefully.